There comes a moment in life, often later than we'd like, when we pause, look around, and ask ourselves a simple but haunting question. When was the last time I truly cared for myself? Not the quick meals eaten in between chores, not the sleepless nights worrying for others, not the polite smile worn to hide exhaustion, but real, gentle care for the body that's carried us through decades and the soul that has weathered so many storms. For many of us who've reached the later chapters of life, caring for ourselves feels unfamiliar, maybe even selfish. We've spent so much of our lives giving to children, spouses, parents, and friends that turning that care inward feels like breaking an unspoken rule. We're praised for sacrifice, respected for endurance, loved for being the ones who always put others first. And so we learn to shrink our needs. We apologize for taking up space. We wait for permission that never comes. We swallow fatigue, ignore aches, and silence the quiet voice inside that simply says, "I need rest." But here's a truth we often forget, or perhaps we're never told. Caring for yourself is not selfish. It is necessary. It is healing. It is brave. You deserve the same kindness you've offered others. You deserve comfort, peace, and respect, not because of what you've done for others, but because you are human, because you are here. This video is not about grand gestures or life-changing transformations. It's about a shift in how we see ourselves. It's about unlearning the guilt that comes from resting, from saying no, from choosing peace. It's about recognizing that your well-being matters and always has. So today, let's take a gentle step together. Let's talk about why so many elders feel guilty when they take care of themselves. What happens when we spend a lifetime prioritizing everyone else? And most importantly, how to reclaim your right to peace, joy, and self-respect without shame, without guilt, without apology. Because at this stage in life, the love you give yourself is not only deserved, it is long overdue. Let this be a quiet reminder. You don't have to keep enduring. You don't have to keep proving. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to choose yourself. And no, that's not selfish. That's love. It's strange, isn't it? You've spent decades building a life, caring for others, being the reliable one, the strong one, the giving one. And yet, now that life has slowed down, now that the house is quieter and your time is finally yours, something inside still whispers, don't be selfish. Why? Why does it feel wrong to rest without guilt? Why does saying no stir up unease? Why does choosing your own comfort feel like you've done something bad? Let's look a little deeper. 1. A lifetime of putting others first. From a young age, many of us were taught that love means sacrifice. That being a good person means putting others before yourself. You gave your best years to your children, waking early, sleeping late, working tirelessly. You stayed in relationships where you weren't always happy because family had to come first. You carried responsibilities on your back, often without complaint, because you believed that's what love looks like. And in many ways, it was. But here's what no one tells you. When giving becomes your only way of existing, you forget how to receive. When you spend a lifetime putting yourself last, you start to believe that's where you belong. So when the chance finally comes to rest, to heal, to enjoy life on your own terms, you hesitate. You feel unsure, even guilty, because it's unfamiliar, because it wasn't how you were raised, because your inner voice was trained to say, "Not yet. Someone else needs you first." But here's something worth remembering. Just because something feels unfamiliar doesn't mean it's wrong. Sometimes it simply means you're growing. 2. The culture of praise for endurance. Our society often celebrates endurance over well-being. She never complains. He worked until the very end. They gave up everything for their children. And while there's beauty in dedication, there's danger too. Because when suffering becomes a badge of honor, we forget that healing is also sacred. We forget that caring for ourselves is just as noble as caring for others. You don't have to earn your right to rest. You don't have to prove your worth through pain. You've already done enough. You've been the anchor for others. Now it's time to be the anchor for yourself. 3. The fear of being judged. Another quiet reason elders struggle with self-care is fear. Fear of being seen as needy. Fear of being labeled difficult, demanding, or too much. Maybe you've asked your children for help, and they seemed annoyed. Maybe you mentioned feeling lonely, and someone brushed it off. Maybe you tried something new just for yourself, and someone called it a waste of time. These moments linger. They create hesitation. So instead of speaking up, you stay silent. Instead of asking, you endure. Instead of choosing yourself, you retreat into the comfort of invisibility. But please hear this. Needing care is not weakness. Expressing yourself is not a burden. And wanting to feel alive again is not a sin. Your voice matters, even if it shakes. Your needs matter, even if others don't understand them. And your joy matters, even if it looks different from what others expect. 4. The deep habit of guilt. Guilt is a heavy coat many elders wear, often without realizing it. Guilt for the things you couldn't give. Guilt for the times you said no. Guilt for simply wanting time for yourself. But guilt, when left unchecked, becomes a chain. It holds you in place. It convinces you that you must keep paying, keep proving, keep sacrificing, even when no one's asking you to. And sometimes, guilt doesn't even come from others. It's internal, a quiet voice whispering, "You don't deserve this." But you do. Not because you were perfect, not because you did everything right, but because you're human, because you've carried enough, because you deserve peace, too. Imagine speaking to your younger self. Would you tell them they don't deserve kindness? Would you deny them care, rest, joy? No. You would hold them gently. You would say, "You've done enough. Now it's your turn." That same compassion, you still deserve it now. 5. The unspoken roles we carry. Many older adults carry roles that no longer serve them, but they don't know how to let go. The caregiver, the peacemaker, the fixer, the one who holds the family together. And even when no one expects those things anymore, you keep doing them because they've become part of who you are. But who are you without those roles? That's the question many are afraid to ask, because the answer is scary. It requires rediscovery, rebuilding, returning to yourself. But it's also beautiful, because underneath all the roles, all the expectations, all the years of being the strong one, there's still you, a person with dreams, with desires, with feelings that still matter, a person who is allowed to be soft, allowed to rest, allowed to just be. Let's pause here. Take a breath. Let this truth settle in. You are not selfish for caring about your own well-being. You are not unkind for wanting peace. You are not wrong for putting yourself first, especially now. You are simply remembering something important, that your life is yours, too. Not just to serve others, not just to endure, but to enjoy, to heal, to breathe, to be free. And that, my dear friend, is not selfishness. That is wisdom. We don't always notice when we begin to disappear. It doesn't happen all at once. There's no dramatic moment, no sudden fall. It's quiet, gradual, like a candle that flickers a little less each night, until it barely glows at all. That's how it feels when you spend a lifetime placing yourself at the bottom of every list. When your needs are always the ones postponed. When your voice is the one that's silenced for the sake of peace. What happens when you abandon yourself, bit by bit, year after year? The body aches, the spirit dims, the heart forgets how to hope. Let's talk about the invisible toll this self-abandonment takes, especially as we age. 1. Your body grows tired, and not just from time. Aging brings its own challenges, yes. But when we don't care for ourselves, when we push past limits, ignore pain, and treat rest like a luxury instead of a need, our body carries the burden quietly. You may think, "I'm just getting old." But sometimes, what you're really feeling is years of neglect catching up, the meals skipped or rushed through, the sleep sacrificed for someone else's comfort, the checkups avoided because others have it worse. Over time, these small sacrifices become chronic exhaustion. The body, once strong and generous, starts sending signals, subtle at first, then louder. Fatigue, joint pain, high blood pressure, poor immunity, digestive issues, and beneath it all, a deep, cellular tiredness. Not just physical, but emotional. Because your body remembers every time you said, "Not now." And eventually, it asks, "If you won't care for me, who will?" 2. Your spirit becomes heavy with unspoken sadness. When you abandon your own joy, your own dreams, your own voice, it doesn't disappear. It sinks. It settles like dust on forgotten shelves of your soul. You begin to feel hollow. Not sad in the loud way, but a quiet sadness, a persistent emptiness. A question that lingers in the background of every day. Is this all there is? And maybe you've said things like, I should be grateful. At least the children are doing well. There's no point thinking about myself now. But inside, you feel a growing ache, a loneliness not from others leaving you, but from you leaving yourself. When you always say yes to others and no to yourself, you start losing pieces of who you are. Until one day, you look in the mirror and no longer recognize the person staring back. Not because of wrinkles or gray hair, but because you've stopped showing up for you. 3. Others begin to take you for granted. Here's a truth that can sting. When you constantly put others first, they can forget you even have needs. Not out of cruelty, sometimes simply because you've made it look easy. You've never complained. You've always said, I'm fine. You've always come through, even when you were tired, hurting, or overwhelmed. So they assume, she doesn't mind. He doesn't need help. They're always okay. And over time, your selflessness becomes invisible. Worse, it becomes expected. Your time is no longer asked for, it's assumed. Your energy is no longer appreciated, it's taken. Your presence is no longer cherished, it's simply there. And when you finally do speak up, you're met with surprise, maybe even resistance, because you've trained everyone, including yourself, to believe that your needs come last. But here's the quiet revolution. The moment you begin to honor your own limits, you teach others to do the same. Respect starts from within, and the longer you abandon yourself, the more permission others feel to abandon you. 2. 4. You forget what brings you joy. Do you remember the last time you laughed? Not politely, not out of manners, but from the belly, from the heart? Do you remember what used to make you feel alive? A favorite song? A walk in the early morning light? The smell of a certain dish from your childhood? A hobby that made hours feel like minutes? When you spend your life serving others, joy becomes something you give away, not something you keep. You convince yourself, that's not important. I'm too old for that now. There's no time for me. And slowly, you forget how to play, how to dream, how to delight in little things just because they delight you. But joy is not a luxury. It is fuel. It is medicine. It is what makes life feel worth living. Without it, even the most well-ordered days feel flat. Even surrounded by people, you feel alone. 5. You live, but you don't feel alive. This may be the deepest cost of abandoning yourself. You survive, but you don't thrive. You exist, but you don't live. You go through the motions. Wake up, eat, watch the news, maybe talk to someone, go to bed, repeat. The calendar moves, but time feels stuck. And maybe you wonder, what happened to me? Where did I go? The answer is both painful and empowering. You didn't vanish. You simply drifted away from yourself, slowly, quietly, in the name of duty. But here's the good news. You can come back. Every act of self-care, no matter how small, is a step back home. Back to the part of you that still dreams, still feels, still longs. And it's not too late. You're not too old. Your light may be dimmed, but it is not gone. Let's take a pause here. If any of this feels familiar, know that you are not alone. Millions of elders carry this same invisible weight. But the beauty of this stage of life is choice. You now have the power to rewrite the story, to choose differently, to return to yourself, to treat your life not as an obligation, but as a gift. Not every day will be easy. Not everyone will understand. But your healing is your own. And it begins not with grand gestures, but with this simple truth. You matter, not because of what you do for others, not because of how well you endure, but because you exist. That is enough. That has always been enough. When was the last time you gave yourself something without guilt? A warm bath, not rushed, not practical, just comforting. A moment of silence, with no phone, no TV, no expectation. A favorite snack, not because it's healthy, but because it brings you joy. A kind word, to yourself, not someone else. For many elders, these moments feel foreign. They seem unnecessary, maybe even selfish. After all, you've spent decades measuring your worth by what you give, your time, your labor, your love. But here's the truth you might have missed in all those years of caring for everyone else. Taking care of yourself is not an escape from love. It is love turned inward. It is compassion pointed home. It is kindness finally offered to the one person you've overlooked for far too long, yourself. Let's explore why self-care is not just a lifestyle, not just a habit, but a conscious, radical, beautiful act of love. Underscore. One, self-care teaches others how to treat you. People learn how to treat you based on how you treat yourself. If you constantly say yes when you mean no, if you allow disrespect to go unchallenged, if you neglect your own well-being in the name of keeping peace, then others, without even meaning to, will assume you're okay with that. You don't need rest. You don't need space. You don't need anything. But the moment you start honoring your own limits, things change. You say, I'm tired. I need to sit down. You say, please don't speak to me that way. You say, no, thank you. I'll stay home today. At first, people may be surprised, even uncomfortable, because they're meeting a new version of you, one that knows her worth, one that protects his peace. But over time, they adjust, they learn, they listen, and most importantly, you begin to feel something you haven't felt in a long time, respected. That respect begins inside. It begins the moment you decide, I will not abandon myself anymore. Underscore. Two, self-care isn't selfish, it's sustainable. Think of a candle. It gives light, yes, but only if there's wax to burn. When it's used up, the flame goes out. You are that candle. You've given your light to so many. Children, partners, friends, even strangers. But if you never refill, never rest, never nourish your own soul, you begin to dim. Burnout isn't always loud. Sometimes it looks like irritation. Sometimes it feels like numbness. Sometimes it's a quiet voice saying, I don't care anymore. Self-care is how we prevent that. It's not indulgence. It's not luxury. It's sustainability. It's maintenance. It's what allows you to keep giving without falling apart. Because love, real love, is not about destruction. It's about balance. Underscore. Three, self-care helps you show up with joy, not resentment. Have you ever done something for someone, but deep down, felt resentful? You smiled. You helped. You listened. But afterward, you were exhausted, maybe even bitter. And then came the guilt. Why am I feeling this way? I should be happy to help. Here's why. Giving from an empty cup creates resentment. Giving from a full cup creates joy. When you care for yourself, you no longer give from depletion. You give from overflow. You give because you wanna, not because you feel you have to. That's the difference between duty and love. And your family, your friends, they can feel that shift. They notice when your energy is light, not heavy. They sense when your help is offered freely, not grudgingly. You're not meant to serve from pain. You're meant to serve from wholeness. Underscore. Four, self-care is a return to yourself. Somewhere along the way, you may have forgotten who you are, outside of the roles you've played. Mother, father, worker, caregiver, spouse. But those are chapters, not the whole story. You were a person before the titles. You still are. Self-care is the act of rediscovering that person. What do you enjoy? What suits you? What makes you feel alive? Maybe it's music from your youth. Maybe it's gardening with no goal in mind. Maybe it's simply sitting in the sun and feeling warmth on your skin. These are not silly things. They are sacred. They are how you come back to yourself, not as a role, but as a human being. Not as a duty, but as a soul. You are not just a function. You are not just someone's something. You are you, and you are worth caring for. Underscore. Five, self-care is the foundation of freedom. Many elders believe their time has passed. That freedom is only for the young. That new beginnings belong to someone else. But let me tell you something gentle and true. Every moment you choose yourself, you reclaim your freedom. Freedom is not loud or dramatic. Sometimes it's as quiet as saying no to that visit you're too tired for, saying yes to the class you've always wanted to try, buying yourself flowers just because, letting go of guilt that doesn't belong to you. Every small act of care is a declaration. I am still here. I still matter. I still choose me. And that is freedom. Underscore 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 underscore. Let's pause together once again. Take a breath. Place your hand over your heart. Whisper if you can. I am not selfish for caring for myself. I am wise. I am worthy. I am still becoming. Because the truth is, there is still time. Time to rest. Time to rediscover. Time to love yourself the way you've loved others for so long. Let this be the season you come home to yourself. Not with shame, not with apology, but with quiet pride. Because you are not a burden. You are a blessing. To others and to yourself. Healing doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't need to look impressive. It doesn't require a perfect plan, a dramatic change, or anyone's permission. Sometimes, healing begins with a whisper, a small shift, a quiet yes to yourself. After years, maybe decades, of putting others first, it can feel strange to suddenly focus on your own well-being. You might not even know where to start. And that's okay. You don't need to rush. You don't need to get it all right. You just need to begin. Here are gentle, simple ways to start loving yourself again. Bit by bit, breath by breath, day by day. Underscore 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 underscore. 1. Say no without explaining yourself. For so long, you may have believed that saying no is rude, that it needs a reason, a justification, an apology. But the truth is, no is a full sentence. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to not feel up to it. You are allowed to change your mind. Start with small things. Say no to a phone call that drains you. Say no to a favor when your body says it's too much. Say no to visitors when you need quiet. You don't need to explain. You don't need to feel guilty. Each time you say no to what harms or exhausts you, you're saying yes to your own peace. Underscore 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 underscore. 2. Give yourself permission to rest. This sounds simple, but for many elders, rest is wrapped in guilt. You might hear a voice in your head saying, I should be doing something useful. There are things that need to get done. I don't deserve to relax. Let that voice soften. Rest is not laziness. Rest is not weakness. Rest is repair. Sit in the garden and do nothing. Lie down in the afternoon with a blanket. Or let the dishes wait. Let the phone ring. You've earned your rest, over and over again. Claim it, unapologetically. Underscore 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 underscore. 3. Do one thing each day that's just for you. It doesn't have to be big. It just has to be yours. Listen to a song you love. Make tea and drink it slowly. Water your plants and watch them grow. Write down a memory that makes you smile. Walk outside and feel the breeze. These are not small things. These are acts of care. They tell your soul, you matter. Because joy doesn't come from grand moments. It's built quietly from dozens of small kindnesses we offer ourselves each day. Underscore 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 underscore. 4. Speak kindly to yourself. We talk to ourselves all day long, whether we realize it or not. And too often, that voice is harsh. I'm so forgetful. I look terrible today. I shouldn't have said that. Would you ever speak to a friend that way? Then why speak to yourself like that? Start changing the tone of your inner voice. Try this. Instead of I'm getting old, say, I've lived a long, rich life. Instead of I'm useless now, say, I have wisdom no one else has. Instead of I'm not enough, say, I am still becoming. Even if you don't believe it at first, say it anyway. Say it until it starts to feel true. Because you are listening, whether you realize it or not. Five, surround yourself with softness, not judgment. You deserve to be around people who listen without interrupting, respect your boundaries, bring you peace, not pressure, make you feel seen, not small. If someone consistently makes you feel like you're too much or not enough, you have every right to take space. You are not here to be everyone's comfort at the expense of your own. You are not here to tolerate what breaks you just because it's family. Choose softness. If that means fewer people, quieter days, or saying goodbye to toxic connections, so be it. Peace is better than pretending. Underscore 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 underscore. 6. Reconnect with what used to bring you joy. You haven't outgrown joy. It may have just gotten buried under responsibilities. Ask yourself, what did I love doing before life got so busy? What lit me up when I was younger? What have I always wanted to try but never did? And then, try one of those things again. Even if you're rusty, even if you're too old, even if no one else gets it. This is your life. You get to choose joy. It might be painting, gardening, dancing in your living room, writing poetry, feeding birds, learning something new. You're not too late. Joy has no expiration date. Underscore 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 underscore. 7. Let go of guilt that doesn't belong to you. Maybe you feel guilty for mistakes you made. Maybe you carry regret over things you didn't do. Maybe you feel responsible for how others turned out. Let me say this gently. You did the best you could with what you knew at the time. Guilt has a purpose when it teaches us something. But when it lingers, long after the lesson, it becomes a weight. You are allowed to forgive yourself. You are allowed to be free. Release the guilt. Keep the wisdom. Underscore 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 underscore. 8. Create a daily ritual that grounds you. Rituals are different from habits. They are sacred. They are yours. A ritual could be lighting a candle each morning and sitting in silence, praying or meditating at the same time each evening, stretching your body slowly before bed, writing one sentence in a journal each night, saying thank you to yourself before you sleep. These rituals become anchors. They remind you, I am here. I am loved. I am home. Even when the world feels busy or disconnected, these small moments bring you back to yourself. Underscore 9. Remind yourself daily. I deserve my own love. Make it your mantra. Whisper it in the morning. Write it on your mirror. Repeat it when you feel lost. I deserve my own love. Not because you're perfect, not because you've earned it, but simply because you're human. You've carried enough. You've given enough. Now, let yourself receive. Underscore 10. Let's close this part with a gentle reminder. You don't have to do all of this at once. You don't have to turn your life upside down. Just begin. Pick one thing, one act of self-kindness, one quiet shift. Let it be enough for today, because healing doesn't happen in a rush. It happens in whispers, in small, steady choices to come back to yourself. And every time you choose you reclaim something sacred, your worth, your joy, your peace. And no, that's not selfish. That's love. So here we are, my friend. After all the years of giving, of carrying, of holding others through their storms, today we spoke of you, not as a role, not as someone's parent, partner, or caretaker, but as a person, a soul, a heart that has longed to be seen, too. Maybe no one ever taught you it was okay to love yourself. Maybe you were praised for being selfless, but never reminded that you matter too. Maybe you believed that being strong meant always holding it together, even when your spirit was quietly falling apart. But today, something different happened. Today you paused. You listened. You let a new truth in. That caring for yourself is not selfish. That choosing your peace is not wrong. That resting, softening, receiving are not signs of weakness, but signs of wisdom. Because it takes great courage to turn inward, to meet yourself again after years of silence, to whisper to your reflection, "I still deserve care." If something in this message stirred your heart, a buried longing, a quiet ache, know this: you are not alone. You are not broken, and you are not too late. This season of life may be tender. There is loss. There is change. There is the sting of being overlooked by a world that races past. But there is also freedom, gentleness, and the beautiful gift of beginning again. Let this be the season where you stop apologizing for resting, where you stop explaining your boundaries, where you no longer wait for someone else to give you permission to breathe. Let this be the season you love yourself, fully, quietly, fiercely. Because here's what I hope you carry with you long after this video ends. You are worthy of the same compassion you've shown others. You are allowed to put yourself first. You are allowed to choose peace over pressure. And you don't have to keep enduring. Not everything must be earned. Not every day must be sacrificed. You can simply exist and still be deeply, fully loved. Underscore. So take that quiet walk if it clears your mind. Say no to what drains you and yes to what heals you. Wear what makes you feel beautiful. Eat slowly. Laugh when it bubbles up. Cry when you need to. And love yourself exactly as you are, not as you used to be. Because the person you are today, they are enough. More than enough. Let the rest of your life be a return, not to the roles you once played, but to the part of you that's always been waiting to be held. And if you forget, just come back to this simple truth. Caring for yourself is never selfish. It is an act of love, and you are worthy of that love every single day.